What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of something that's not an episode. Knee-jerk reactions. Slap it. All right, what are we talking about, Rodney?
We are
You need a mic, dude.
talking about Dune.
Yeah,
I know
the
you
David
all-
Lynch film. No, I'm
A
just-
lot of y'all have seen the new Dune movie. I know you all have seen it on HBO Max, which is a shame because this really is a movie that has to be, in my opinion, has to be experienced in a theater.
I definitely think it would have helped raise my score for sure.
This movie is a typical Denis Villeneuve film.
No doubt.
This movie
He's really
has
hit or miss for me.
his written DNA all over it. It's a slow burn, but it's very heavy in content, character development, very heavy in story. Everything about this movie pointed to this. This
we
is
are.
a Denis Villeneuve film.
I agree with
this is
that.
him.
100%.
It is. I will admit, and I'm okay with it, but I will admit it's a lot slower than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'll say that much too.
And I will say my one big negative is I hate how they put Dune Part 1 at the beginning. I do not like how that's in the title.
Yeah,
Because it just it kind of takes me a little bit out of the movie.
it did that for me.
Because I
for
know
sure.
it's not going to be the full story, you know?
Yeah, this is a interesting one for me. I'll say this: visually, it was beautiful,
Stunning.
amazing cinematography,
Mhm.
and amazing world building. I could definitely see this turning into something special the more it moves along. This is like just the beginning, tip of the iceberg. Like we're not even like halfway through like the books, to my knowledge.
No, I think it's a third of the book.
Yeah, or
the
book or
first
whatever
book.
it is. Yeah, I'm not very hip to Dune, actually. Surprisingly, like I don't even think I've seen the first one all the way through. I've only seen like bits and pieces a long time ago, or maybe I did watch all the way through a long time ago. But as I recall, I'd only seen, and I'm a big David Lynch fan. Like I like his work, and of course, you know, bringing always blanking on the spot, dude from Twin Peaks over. He's always great. So I was definitely interested in this, the trailer, everything, and like I said, I was captivated. But at the end of the day, dude, this one didn't do it for me as much as I thought it
makes
would.
sense, so.
It surprised me. Like, it's like beautiful as the cinematography was. At the same time, it kind of also it was all, you know, like it's very like grayish and fucking, you know, like it's these sandy dunes. Like it's not very like colorful. Nothing pops, you know, that can like really like, you know, light your eyes up on the screen. And also, while the acting is really good, I think
Timothy Chalamet in this.
I think he was the best part. Actually,
Oh my God.
he was good, but I think all around, as good as the acting was, I'm not hating on the acting. Movies like this, when I see them, and this could just be a me thing, you might completely disagree, but when I'm looking at this stellar of a cast and I watch this, I'm like, it's good acting. But when I see this stellar of a cast, I want something that's like jaw-dropping acting. Or it gets to a point where it kind of like weighs on me in a weird way. I'm just like, well, why even get all these guys then? Because if you could have got some no-names even, that probably could have done just as good, just solid actors. Like, it didn't warrant it enough to where I was like, damn, dude, I see why they got all these guys. This is amazing. So that kind of brought it down a little bit for me. Not that anybody did bad. And then the combination of how slow it was, and then it's not really like, it's an emotional movie to some degree. There's emotional scenes, but it's emotional, but it's not like there's a lot of emotion being shown. It's the classic, like, they're just kind of on this line the whole way through. So the fact that it was slow, it was on this line the whole way through, and then even though it's shot beautifully, it's really like no vibrant colors, nothing that really pops. I found myself feeling the runtime like crazy. Like I was doled the fuck out, like basically this whole movie. Like there was moments where I'm like, this could build to something, and I'm interested in what can come. And I didn't hate my time with it, but I was surprised how uninterested I was. And something that was hurting me, that's weird you bring it up, was the part one. Because as I was like really doled out by everything, I was like, also, I don't really have an explosive climax to probably look forward to either. So then I started thinking about that, and it made me feel even more dull about the movie. And it just, honestly, it surprised me. It did not do it for me nearly as much. And there's another thing that, if you want to go into like some spoiler territory here in a bit, that also kind of bummed me out. That's more of like a personal thing.
Well, this is definitely a movie that will not cater to every audience. Like, this is definitely Denis, when he made this movie, he went straight for what's it called? By the book. So
Yeah.
he was like, okay, this is basically a movie made for the fans of the Dune IP. As far as I can understand that, how it feels like the story is just like a straight line as opposed to emotions flying up and down and up and down. But I feel like it belongs in the
It
story
makes
like
sense.
this,
It
though,
does.
because the relationship with, or for example, the relationship, it's not really a spoiler, but the relationship with him and his mom, with Paul and his mother. Dude, the voice thing, find your voice, find your pitch. Like, it's the little things that are said, and you have to pay attention to this movie.
Very originish. For
Yeah,
sure.
you have to pay attention in it, because if you think you missed something, you need to rewind it, because you will miss it. And it's simple things, that words that are being said. But then the reason I think seeing it in a theater will change people's minds is because of the action scenes. How fucking big the scope of this. This is one of the largest scope like movies I've ever seen.
I
Like the
appreciate
scope
it.
of, I mean, because I saw it at Preston and the XD, and it's just, I mean, people standing next to the bill. I mean, he did perfect with when it came to set pieces. I mean, you felt like you were in a massive, massive world. And the sand, oh man, the sandworm.
That was so dope. That was my favorite part,
Dude,
for sure. Like
shit
that
is so
Christian Bale
crazy.
joke, he just killed it.
And it's not even, it's like the sandworm, like they go so in depth with how big they are. They tell you that they're, you know, they get up to 400 meters. But when the sand dune worms are coming, like people, I'm not going to say who, but certain people kind of sink into the sand, even though the worm is like a little bit
So
away,
far away, it's
because
that
of how
big.
big they are. And you get a scope and see, and the way Denis filmed it is just like, God, that thing is massive. Like, it's like you're a midget, or
You'd be tripping.
you're shrunk down in a massive city. It's so crazy, the scope and scale of this movie. But yeah, I can see where people will feel the runtime for sure on this, because of all the in betweens of the action scenes. Because the action scenes are explosive when they happen. Like in the trailer, when you see the one big explosion, where, you know, where you actually see the red and everything.
That was really cool.
That, look out for that scene, because and have your shit turned up, because it is crazy. But yeah, overall, I love the movie. Overall, I mean, of course, I had my issues with it. Nothing too terribly big, but I do wish, instead of him making this movie as a blatant part one, if he'd have just made it as like Lord of the Rings did.
They might have even had some like interference with that too, where they're like, "We need to cut a deal." Like, I mean, dude, Villeneuve's like, he's respected enough where I don't think that would happen. But at the same time, there might have been something like, all right, you can do all this, you can do whatever you want. But I think a lot of people are going to be like, what? There's not more? Like, I need more, blah, blah, blah. So we need you to at least do this and let people know, and then we'll keep pushing forward with this. I wonder if there maybe was a little interference with that. I don't know for sure. But it doesn't even seem like his style to even do that. Like, he's normally like, this is what you got, and you're just going to fucking take it.
Yeah, that's kind of how he is with it.
But since they're trying to make this huge scope of like a thing, like you were saying, like even in like the trailers, like this could be like the new Star Wars or some shit. So like maybe like since they think it's going to be that huge of a property, they might have put those reins on them for all we know, where they're just like, you can do all this. We're giving you, this is going to be a huge break for you, but just make sure you separate it in parts so people know when they're going there, because they're expecting that a lot of people will be like, well, is that it? Is there more? What's going to happen? Like, let them know from the jump. I wonder if maybe there is some of that in there. Maybe not.
You also got to put it into perspective that Warner Brothers just lost their biggest asset in Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, they have to do something with Denis, because Denis is considered the greatest director working today right now. Like, he's always in the conversation, you know, him.
Yeah, he's up there for sure.
You know, Steven Spielberg, of course, he's not doing as much. He's considered the GOAT by everybody.
But when he is,
he's on it. And then you got Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, and Denis Villeneuve are like the three big time, like, people are always waiting on their next thing.
Yeah.
And Dune, to me is a hit, but I can see where it's a miss to a lot of people. I think he kind of missed an opportunity instead of putting his own touch into it, other than just the camera play. Then I feel like he could have maybe appealed to a bigger audience if he'd have made kind of like. And I don't want you to veer too much from, I guess, the book, movie series, and all that, but at least put your own touches of it, like.
But it might work out in the long run,
right?
if you
Exactly.
see, and that's why I like my rating. Like, it's kind of one of those ones where you got to kind of temper your expectations with like the movie and my rating, because it could possibly change, because this is kind of like a stepping stone type movie. So I'll come right out and say it. I rated this movie. I didn't even give it a 6, dude. I gave it a 5.8. It was almost good to me. But like as its own movie right now, it's like just less than good to me. Yeah. Like I was more kind of like, but it is that stepping stone movie where I feel like if I did see it in theaters, it would have raised up, probably because of the epic scale of it. I think it might actually be more like a 6.3 or something like that. But then this is the type of movie where, like, on paper, like, initially, like, he didn't throw all this shit in there like crazy. I mean, there's stuff in there, but he didn't go all out with it. But the thing is that might actually be better for the movie, because if the second chapter is just like, whoa, holy shit, and then it connects perfectly with the first one, now when I go back, say there's 3 of them or whatever, and then I go back and rewatch this, I'm just soaking up, like, the origins of it, and like, wow, I can't wait till 2, and now I'm more into this. And I will say, too, the villain, Skarsgård, like, he seems like he's got some... that. Like, he showed flashes here, for sure. His flashes were great, but he seems like he could be an amazing villain by the end of this. So, like, I'm excited to see where that plays out. But even though I got it at 5.8, I'm still sitting there like, I'm interested to see the second one. I'm interested to see what they do with this, and I'm interested to see if after I see the second one, I can go back and be like, damn, like, this one's even more interesting to me now. So it's like, even though I got it at a 5.8, like, I'm really not hating with that. This is just honestly knee-jerk reaction. This is how I feel after watching this movie. I'm really disappointed, but in a weird way, I can almost say, like, I'm not disappointed too somehow, because I'm waiting to see how this ties into everything else, because this could even potentially be, when it's all said and done, a great movie once I see everything and how it ties in, and then maybe on second watch, everything syncs up a little bit more for me. I don't know. It was just a weird one for me, because I was sitting there and I was just like, man, dude. And like you were saying with the performances, it fits more with how it's going for it. Like, I'm not arguing that. I'm not even saying they needed more emotion. That's just kind of fits in more of like the type of movies he does in general, and it works well for that. But when I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's long as fuck, it's like pretty dull all around for me, and then like there's no like vibrant colors with these camera shots. It's just like this like droggy look the whole time. Like, I didn't necessarily want those performances to be up like that. It would have been cool either way, but at that point it's just like, I just need something from somewhere to like wake me up, like something to pull me out of this. But we'll see, dude. I got to see other ones.
Yeah, I feel like the second movie coming out would definitely raise other people, because it's going to be made as like one whole movie. You have a movie night one night and you put on Dune Part 1 and 2 back to back.
Yeah, it's the start of a journey,
and it's one whole movie.
But I'm interested in, though, despite my score.
My score on it is I'm teetering 8.7, 8.9 right now.
I had a feeling you were going to do this. So I was going to break your heart.
Yeah, I'm teetering 8.7, 8.9, and that's, I think, because for one, I'm a sucker for these slow burns, and two, cinematography when it comes to movies is like my best friend. Like, that's what I look for the most, and I can always count on Denny and his cinematographers to always put out great content. So, yeah, I think as of right now, I'm gonna stick with an 8.7. But yeah, to me, I thought it was a hit, and I cannot wait for the second one.
I had a feeling this is gonna be a rating too.
If the second one's gonna be as good or better, then like you said, my score could go up as a whole for one movie. It has potential to crack 9.
Pieced together, dude.
Yep.
Want to talk any spoilers at all? I got one I want to say.
I mean, yeah, we can talk a couple.
All right, I'll talk mine. Get out of here. You heard the whole review. Here's one thing that was a negative for me, and probably just a negative for me. Please be gone now. Please be gone now. Leave. Okay. That was it. All right, y'all. I'm just playing. Jason Momoa. I thought he was badass in this movie. He was dope. But this is like my second like disappointment with him. But this is more like a personal thing. It's not anything he did. It's Sweet Girl was coming out, and I've always really liked Jason Momoa, and I always love it when I have like an action star I can really cling to, especially these days. It's hard, where it seems like they're stepping out of that range of just like they're not just doing like the Jason Statham type of cash grabs for the most part. Not that Jason Statham doesn't have roles, but you know what I'm saying, that cliche action star. And Sweet Girl, I feel like he was giving a little more. And that one hurt even more because he did give a little more. But the movie went downhill so fast, it was horrible. So that happened, and that was like a strikeout. Then I was like, at least I got Dune. Like maybe he can jump into this like bigger than life universe, and he can just be a badass character in it. So when he got killed off, that hurt me too. I'm like, oh, and they're killing Momoa. Like, I was really looking forward to see like what he could do. Like, I mean, it was awesome. Normally, I'm the guy that's like, hell yeah, went out like a boss. I'm cool with it, and he did. He was fucking awesome in the scene. That might have been like my favorite scene in the movie. Is one of them, if not my favorite. But seeing him die hurt me. I was like, oh my god, again, Momoa. He's just not even really gonna be like, oh, he's gonna be like, Drago in like the season 1 of like, you're like, man, but what could he have done if he was in it more? You know what I mean? Like, this is like, damn it, he's gone already. Like, I was just rooting for him to have some type of breakthrough with this movie. So that's like a personal negative for me that kind of bothered me. But, like, he did go out like a boss, though. He really did. Like, I love that. And then when you think he's done, he gets up again and starts fucking him up again.
Yeah,
so
he's a badass. This is a weird one for me. It's an issue, but it also catches my intrigue. So I'm like, I dig it, but at the same time, I don't. And the reason I don't is because I don't understand it.
Oh, yeah.
The fighting style. The fighting style
It's
in this
weird.
movie is really... Because I know Denis Villeneuve and his stunt coordinators created this fighting style. They went all out and actually created a fighting style. And it seems like when he hit him with the side of his sword is when he went red.
Yeah, and
they're saying the slower you go is how you kill them with the force field, their little shields on.
That's what's so weird with the force field. I was like indifferent about that. I'm
Yeah,
like part of me was like, that's kind of cool. But the other part of me is like, it's also kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like, it was hard for me to get like, that's like a in the middle type thing that also bothered me. So like when I did get the action, I was like, but what is this? Do I
Right,
like this? I
exactly.
don't know. And then I'd go right back to, I'm like, everything's so like grayish and dull and no one's bringing emotion and this is still just trudging along. It's just, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean the fight scenes were cool, but they were just I don't like watching a fight scene and not understanding what's going on. But I know like they're fighting, but it's like, okay,
Well,
so what?
It's beyond that though too, because like we're like martial arts fans,
Right.
big time. So we really appreciate like fighting in movies, and there's something to that like actual like contact when like a foot hits a face or a blow hits it, and you
Yes.
see them just getting knocked back hard. When you're seeing them get hit, and it's like, and it's like nothing's really connecting. It's like you're missing something
Yeah.
with that. It's cool because it's like, oh, it's dope. They have like force fields, but there's also missing that impact that you're like, oh yeah, connected. Like,
But that's
and
where
missing that hurts it too.
It also
so it's
didn't
weird.
make sense when some of the kills that happened when they had the shields on was like, okay, so if that killed him, then why didn't this kill this person? You know, why is this
Yeah.
different from this? And there's really no
Honestly, I didn't
explaining.
even think about that, but maybe there is later down the road, especially now.
The wasp thing that hits you know who in the back.
No, we can talk about that now. 'cause we're
Okay,
in
so yeah,
spoilers.
Oscar Isaac,
Yeah.
Timothy, Paul Atreides, his dad dies
And that
from
fucking traitor motherfucker, dude.
yeah, dude. I
was like,
dude.
wow.
He
But I mean, he did have like, he kind of was in a hard spot, so at least that's that with like his wife or whatever. But and I loved how fucking Scar just like offed him.
Yeah.
Like I was like, yes, that's good villain shit.
Yeah.
So
I
that-
liked him as the villain in this.
Yeah, he was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, all around, dude, I was like uneven on it, but weirdly uneven, but also weirdly intrigued.
Yes.
Like I'm like, where can this go though?
My
I don't
intrigue
know.
and happiness was higher than yours, but I understand 100% what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. We went a little longer on this one too, but fuck it. This is.
Dune.
I really wanted to see this movie, but it didn't warrant a longer.
It was my number 3 on my anticipated.
but this is a huge one for you, so I
Which
figured you wanted to talk a little
Next
more
week
about
is even bigger
Plus, I had to
'Cause-
explain why I was so like indifferent. I couldn't just say 5.8. It was average because there's so much more than like why was it average. I had to explain.
Yeah, that makes sense. But next week is bigger for me because next week is actually my most anticipated film of 2021 in Antlers. So we will be reviewing Antlers.
It's weird that like a horror movie is
Dude,
most
they are
anticipated.
killing it with horror this year right now. I mean, it's
Well, not for me actually. For the most part,
you still haven't seen The Night House that everybody else is shitting on, but it's really good.
I want to see it. Dude, I would have bought it, but money's tight right now. That's
I
part
feel
of. I mean, money isn't tight. You know, I can just go into my savings and shit, but I don't like doing that.
No.
So I'm waiting another week on Night House, and
Well, I got dibs on that digital.
yeah, for sure. And we'll get that fucking rolling. We'll see how I feel about it. I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
indifferent with those slow type of. I don't know. We'll see. All right, man. Adios, amigos. Have a toast for your glucose. No.